Okay, take a second to listen to the audio that you're hearing at this moment. Take a listen to it right now. Big difference? Well, I'm going to show you guys how to do that. What's going on, everyone? I'm John from Hobbyist PCs. Now, when we think about audio, especially when it comes to streaming, a lot of us are just going to simply use the microphone that we have on hand, and we're just going to turn it on and use it. And that's about it. Well, what if I told you that you can make that sound even better than the way it does right now? We can do this through what are called VST audio plugins, and you can obtain some of these totally for free, and you can use them with OBS. Pretty useful stuff. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be showing you guys how you can use these VST audio plugins to improve the audio on your stream to make the audio more pleasant to the ears to your listeners. Now, this might not always produce the best possible results, especially if you're stuck using something like a headset mic. Granted, there are some headsets that have great quality. Most of them don't. So we're going to do what we can to try to improve that. And if you happen to have something like an XLR mic or a USB mic such as a Blue Yeti, you're only going to continue to make that audio sound even better than it currently does. So I'm going to go over the process of what you should be doing to try to improve your audio, and I'm going to show you the steps needed to do it. All right, let's get into it, guys. Okay, guys, so here we are on the tutorial portion of the video. First thing I want to emphasize here, guys, is if you have a pair of headphones, particularly a good pair of headphones, I highly recommend that you wear them during these tutorial because you will be able to hear the intricacies of what I'm adjusting a lot easier as opposed to if you're on speakers. And that's just the first thing I want to recommend to you. So let's get things started here. Let's go ahead and head over to google.com. I want you to type in ReaPlugs. ReaPlugs. And you will get a link here to ReaPlugs. ReaPlugs is a digital audio workstation, also known as a DAW, and it is simply just an audio production tool. And they offer free VST plugins that you can download that you normally would be able to use within ReaPlugs. However, you can use them to other DAWs, or in this case, we're using it with OBS. So OBS allows for you to do that. Now, you're going to want to make sure that you download either 32-bit or 64-bit, depending on the system you have. I have a 64-bit system, therefore I'm going to download that. If you don't know how to do that, finding out which bit system you have, and most likely it's 64-bit. However, if you need to double check, you could simply press the Windows key or click in the lower left-hand corner on the Windows icon, and you can type system information. If you look down where it says system type, it says x64 based PC. That tells you it's 64-bit. If it was x86 or if it said 32-bit somewhere, then that would mean it's a 32-bit system. So if it says x86, you're 32-bit. If it says x64, then it's a 64-bit system. Just to get that out of the way. All right, so in this case, I'll just download this. And I'm just going to run the installer temporarily just to show you the directory. So we're going to open up the download folder. Going to double-click the installer. Click I agree. And it will have all the plugins that you can download right here. Not a big deal. You just want to go ahead and install all of those. So we're going to click Next. And you will see here it says C program files, VST plugins, ReaPlugs. This is the exact directory that you want to save it to. The C drive, program files, VST plugins, because this is the folder that OBS is going to be looking for if you want to use these plugins. So I highly suggest that you install to this directory. Now, I'm not going to continue with the installation because I already have it installed. So we can just skip that part and we can head into ReaPlugs, and I'll start showing you how it is we plan to use these plugins. All right, now we're in this program file or project file where I have pre-recorded some audio using this microphone right here, and I also pre-recorded some keyboard presses using the same distance or the normal distance I would have the microphone from my keyboard. That's really important. I'm going to show you why you need to do that with, I believe it's the second plugin that we get into. But first of all, you want to just have something recorded, or in this case, if you're in OBS, all you want to do for this first plugin is simply not talk into it, and just let the plugin detect what the mic is currently picking up in your room. Now, I'm just going to play real quick what it is that we have here. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. All right, so it's just something that we're going to use to kind of get all the plugins working properly. But first, First thing we want to do is we want to clean up the audio. Now, with any room that you're going to be in, you're going to have some kind of background noise, and most of us want to filter that background noise out as much as we can. Things like the sound of your PC's fans, or a fan that happens to keep you cool, maybe even an air conditioner or some kind of loud heater inside your room. You're going to want to try to filter that noise out as much as possible. So if you're in OBS, you're going to simply use this plugin while you're not talking into it, so it can pick up the background noise. And you want to record you want to try to capture like a good 3 to 5 seconds of that. And I'm going to show you how it is you do that through ReaPlugs. Now, keep in mind, I'm just using ReaPlugs because it's going to be a lot quicker than the other method of, trial and error through OBS setting up. This should make it a lot faster. As a matter of fact, I would recommend that you even go to ReaPlugs' website and download ReaPlugs yourself. You can try it for free, and then you can go through the process of setting up ReaPlugs and then doing a recording and making your changes through that. I reckon that it'll save you a lot more time, and it might allow you to hone in that sound a little easier. I'm not going to go through the trouble of showing you how to set up ReaPlugs because it's going to depend on the kind of hardware you have, but there are plenty of tutorials online for now. And if you guys really want me to make a tutorial on how to set up ReaPlugs, just let me know down in the comments down below, and I will get on making a video to show you how to do a basic setup and get things going on it. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to find a quiet section of the recording, which I have pre-recorded already. And I want to find a section where I see the most consistent background noise, not too many peaks, either from me like shuffling around or moving, or you want to get just as much of the ambient room noise as you possibly can. And this section back here at the beginning has a pretty good amount of that. Now, the plugin we're going to be using is called ReaFir. I already have a bunch of plugins added here, and I'm just going to remove them all to start out. I'm just going to remove every single one of them. We don't need them right now. I'm just going to go ahead and add in. You click the add button right here. You can see, and we'll add ReaFir. Okay, so the most important thing you need to know here is the mode drop-down menu located here. You want to, where it says EQ, you want to change that to subtract. Now you'll have a checkbox next to it. It says automatically build noise profile enabled during noise. So we have to hit play in this instance in order for it to detect it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check this box. Actually, I'm just going to hit play first. I want to see a nice even amount of room noise, and we're going to just hone in on that spot first. Somewhere right around there. It seemed like at the beginning there was a little bit of noise. So let's try right around here. Let's see what it captures. And that's good enough right there. You can see that the lines changed down in the corner. And those are basically the frequencies that this plugin is going to look for and attempt to filter out of your audio. So that way, if you have any background noise in there, it won't get picked up by your microphone, and you don't have to worry about processing that audio. Now, that's all you really have to do with this. It's pretty simple. There's only slight degradation whenever you use this, so don't think like, only if you're trying to filter out a ton of noise, you might see the heaviest effects from this. However, you should be totally fine if you have a pretty quiet room. This you might not even need to use this particular plugin. I mostly recommend using this plugin if you have a condenser mic, because those are extremely sensitive to picking up room noise. Now let's move on to the next one. We're going to focus on something that I think is probably the most important when you're a live streamer, and that is the gate. So ReaGate is the plugin we're going to want to add in there next, and it's pretty simple in function. I recommend that you go with this setup to start out, okay? You want to set your attacks. You have your attack slider, your hold slider, your release. Those are the three main ones you have to worry about in this plugin at the moment, at least to get it to do what you need it to do. And we'll talk about the pre-open momentarily, but I recommend setting your attack to 1 millisecond. Basically, what that's going to do is it's going to tell the noise gate, when I say gate, basically it allows sound to pass through. When it is active, it's not allowing sound through, and it deactivates at a certain point that you specify and allows sound to get through it. So I'm going to demonstrate that to you momentarily. So here's how it works. Set that to 1 millisecond. Set your hold to about 20. And as for your release, I definitely also suggest that you play around with these settings as well. Okay, the hold and the release, I highly recommend it, but I usually recommend around 400 or 450. I'm going to set it to 450 right here. Play with this if you have to. What it's going to do is it's going to tell the gate how long it needs to stay open to allow sound through before it finally closes once it's quiet. So let's say like you speak and there's like a moment of silence afterwards, the gate's not going to close until 450 milliseconds after hearing silence, essentially. And I'm going to demonstrate the sounds in just a minute. Now, the last thing you're going to need to do is you're going to need to find the source that you want to try to cut out of your audio. In this case, it's going to be key presses. I have some audio over on the right-hand side here that I pre-recorded, and we're going to try to basically filter out any of the loudest key noises that are in there and make it so that none of that audio comes through. And all you want to do is adjust this slider on the left-hand side. The idea is that you want it to be just enough to filter out the keyboard noise, but not enough to filter your voice out. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to play it back to make sure none of the key presses got through. You can see that meter bounce on the right-hand side, so some of that sound got through. Let's bump it up to 34 and try that again. Let's see if we can get this just a little lower. Let's see if we can go to 0.8. That's good. Now, I want to talk about one more particular thing that you need to know about is the pre-open. I suggest using the pre-open if you find that the beginning of your sentences are getting kind of cut off or are coming in kind of quiet at first. I highly recommend that you just turn that slider up a little bit if you feel like you're not coming in as well at the start as you should. And I'll play back the audio real quick to kind of show you how this is going to work with the voice, and we'll make an adjustment to the pre-open if we need to. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. Now, listen back to that one more time. It sounded like it kind of came in a little soft, and we'll probably have to make an adjustment. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. Sounded like it kind of came in like out instead of how. You don't really hear the H syllable too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust the pre-open a little bit. Let's bring it to like 10 milliseconds. Let's try 5. Let's see what that does. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz. Not bad. Let's bump it to 8 and try that. How's it going, everyone? I'm John. Actually, 7 might be the good one, so let's go with that. Let's go with 7. Basically, you want to have this, only open it as much as you need to. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. And I from my use using this plugin, it does a good job of gating out audio. So depending on how loud the noise is that's coming in on the background, this could be a difficult task. It could be an easy one, but it's something that I probably recommend that you spend a little bit of time on. I should also mention too that the order of these plugins is really going to matter, and the specific order I'm using right now is the one I suggest that you go with. So we added REA first. You want to add ReaGate second. And of course, after you've added your plugins, you can rearrange the order of everything, but it's going to affect your sound. And I'm simply just recommending something that's going to give you probably the least amount of headaches going forward. Next thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to go ahead and add a compressor. So we're going to add ReaComp. All right, so what is a compressor? Well, to put it simply, a compressor is an automatic volume adjuster. It will adjust the volume of your audio source accordingly based on the parameters you set on it, and it bases it largely off of your threshold and your ratio sliders. Your ratio slider, what it does is it will lower the volume of the audio source based on how many decibels it goes above the threshold that you set, and that basically the higher that ratio, the more decibels it will lower the volume by. So if you go 1 decibel above if you have a 2-to-1 ratio and you go 1 decibel above the threshold, the volume will be reduced by a factor of 2. So you will lose 2 decibels of volume for every decibel that goes above the threshold. And the threshold is simply a spot that tells the compressor when to turn on. And what we're going to be doing with this compressor is we're going to be taking the volume that we're recording and we're going to be leveling it out so it sounds more consistent. That's one of the biggest tricks to getting that broadcasting sound. It's done mostly with the compressor. So we're going to put a little bit of love into this, and I'm going to try to give you some settings that you can use to start out. Now, I would start here with the attack slider. Basically, this tells the compressor how quickly to turn on, and we're going to have it turn on really quick so that the volume reduction is almost immediate. And if you want to make like your syllables come out a little sharper, a little more attack, I guess, then you want to actually increase the attack slider. That'll basically make the compressor turn on slower. And that's just to kind of bring out the transients that you're seeing. If you don't know what a transient is, if you look down at this waveform, those sort of peaks and valleys, this beginning portion right here, that's considered a transient. That peak up. It'll basically take those transients and even them out, essentially, make them look almost resemble a brick in a way. Now, the next thing you want to do here after adjusting your attack slider, you want to set your release to about 200. This is just a preference. I don't think you really need to play with this slider too much. However, if you feel that it makes a difference in the sound, then I suggest playing around with it. No harm in it. Basically, it'll tell the compressor how long it needs to stay on before going back to normal volume. Now, we want to talk about the ratio slider. That's the big one. I highly suggest that you use 4 to 1, anywhere between 3 to 1 or 4 to 1. Go a little above that if you have to. Generally, you don't need much more than 4 to 1. That usually does the job very well. Sounds really nice for vocals and voiceovers. And lastly, what we're going to want to do here is we want to bring down our threshold slider while the audio is playing, or in your case, while you're talking. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. And that sounds pretty good to me. I can go with that. Now, the last thing I'm going to want to do is adjust the knee size. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. I find that 3 smooths it out just well enough. As for what's going on the right-hand side here, you can see that there's a red meter when we play that. What that's telling you is how much the volume is being reduced by the compressor whenever the audio is going through it. And we can actually get a good idea of it in decibels, how much it's being reduced. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. As you can see, like it's telling us that it's somewhere in the range of like 8 decibels. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and go to this wet slider right here, which is considered your makeup gain slider. Any gain that you have lost as a result of using your compressor can be made up with this slider. It's just not called makeup gain. So you just want to go ahead and I'm going to try setting it to 8. We're going to see how it sounds. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. And I want to just check to see if it's a similar volume to what the original clip was. So I'm going to bypass the plugin real quick and listen back. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. That's pretty close. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up 2 more decibels to 10. Just to kind of give it a little bit of a volume boost to make it a little louder. And I think that's all you're really going to need to focus on when it comes to the compressor. So let's move on to EQ. Okay, so EQ is a bit of a beast, and I'm not going to cover everything about it. I'm going to cover some basics about EQing. This is going to depend largely on the quality of your mic, the sound of your voice, and the sound of your room. There are a lot of influences here that are going to depend on how you need to EQ this, but I can give you some general pointers that you can use to attempt to clean up your audio and get it sounding better. So I'm only going to briefly go over this particular plugin. It's called ReaEQ, and what it is it's called a parametric EQ. It's a very precise equalizer, kind of similar to the ones that you would see in your car stereo, which allow you to adjust the mid, the bass, and the treble. And this is basically just a much more precise version of that. We can really hone in on specific treble frequencies and either cut them out or boost the ones that you like that flatter your voice very well. What I highly suggest that you do off of the bat is, you know what? Besides just like telling you what you should do, I'm just gonna show you what I do for my particular mic to try to get it to sound better, and hopefully it will help you understand how an EQ is used and how it can change the sound of the way your mic is. Keep in mind, though, that there are some things that an EQ can't fix. It's not a one-size-fits-all solution to making anything sound good. Just remember, if it's good going in, it's going to take you a lot less adjustment to get it to sound better. So we're going to start here with the left-hand side, which is typically the bass frequencies. A lot of the times on most EQs, the bass frequencies are on the left-hand side, but if it happens to be on the opposite, all you need to look for is that the 50 hertz range, or should I say the hertz side of the EQ is the bass side, whereas the kilohertz side is on the high end, so the higher frequencies, the shrill frequencies, and the mid just sits between those two. As for this first parameter here, I want to set this to what's called a high pass. If you don't know what a high pass is, it basically allows high frequencies to go through. And I'm going to show you how this works by just sweeping the filter to show you what happens when I increase the high pass, or should I say, I move the high pass to frequencies that favor the high end more. How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. Now, you can see that it's basically filtering out all the low end. There's no bass. There's no like thickness to it. Like, I don't really know how else to describe it. And, you know, you want to just put a little bit of that because there are certain frequencies in here that we're probably not really going to be using anyway. You know, you don't need everything on the EQ spectrum, and you want to try to free up as much room as you can to help it cut through in whatever it is that you want to, you know, in your case, you want to be able to speak over your game. This is going to help your vocals cut through a lot more. It's funny, you remove things and it cuts better. But what we're going to do here is I'm going to just adjust my bandwidth slider here. And that's just where I'm going to start. Next, we're going to move on to band number 2. This one I'm going to use to kind of find like just a frequency that just doesn't sound good. And I generally find that anywhere between 300 to 400, there's a pretty ugly sound that doesn't really favor my voice that well. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you a trick. It's called EQ sweeping. Now, what you got to do is you want to take this as a band pass. You see the type here? It's a band, not a high pass. It's a band. I'm going to just take the gain slider. I'm going to jack it all the way up as far as I can. I'd say, 11 decibels. That's fine. And then we're going to take the bandwidth slider. We're going to make it super narrow. And this is going to help us hone in on frequencies. And all you got to do is just play your audio. I suggest putting it on loop, a small section of your audio that you're recording if you are doing it this way.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist.
We're just going to sweep the frequencies until we find the one that doesn't sound that good.
Plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
I find that this frequency right around here, between 200 and 300, generally doesn't flatter my voice very well because I have a very nasally sounding voice. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower the volume about 3 decibels. I generally recommend a rule of 3 decibels. If you don't hear a change in your EQ from your EQing after 3 decibels, then it's probably not doing much to begin with. So it's just to kind of see if it makes a noticeable change. It doesn't have to be a massive change. It just has to be one that flatters for the most part. I'm just going to readjust my filter here a little bit. We'll go back to that. And we're going to just hit play.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist.
Now, one thing you can also do, you can check your changes. You can click this little checkbox here. It says enabled. And you can disable it, so it brings it back to the way it was before.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Now, I think this one, I can move this over just a little more. And I can make this a little more like that.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this... How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Right around there seems like a pretty good spot, and I might actually bring it down some more.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Sounds pretty good to me. I think I'll go with that. Now, as for the 3 slider, we're going to go ahead and we're going to move this over a little bit. I find that there's an area right around here that doesn't, a lot of this like mid-range typically doesn't flatter me too well either. So what I might actually do is just make this pretty wide, bring it down, and just cut out this section right here. This is just something that I've been doing lately with a lot of my voiceover EQing, and I find that it does a pretty good job of filtering out and smoothing out noise pretty well.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
I think it's a little bit too extreme, so maybe we can move it over, or we can bump it up just a little bit.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
I can dig that. Now I want to do one more thing here before I move on to that 4 frequency. I want to add one more band. And this is going to be a low pass. Lastly, this 4 parameter, it's going to be set as a high shelf. I want to set that as a band as well. Let's go back to the 5, and we're going to move this back over here towards the high end, and I just simply want to put it somewhere around here. I don't want to filter out too much of it because I don't want it to lose clarity. So I just want to find like a good spot for it. And as for the 4 parameter, like I said, you could just kind of click and drag these if you want to. And I just want to find like a spot. We could do an EQ sweep, which isn't a bad idea. As a matter of fact, I think I might just do that. Gonna boost that up. And we're just sweep it a little bit and find that sweet spot that'll give me a little bit of extra clarity in my voice.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial. How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
I think I like that spot right there. We'll just, lost it.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this.
Yeah, that one right there. Let's go ahead and we're going to bring this down. I'm going to widen it out just a little bit.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John, the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and
bump it up 3 decibels.
Audio plugins
just to check it. and we'll adjust it afterwards.
Everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Let's cut it out.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
That sounds pretty good to me. I mean, I might bring the gain down just a little bit, maybe to 2.5, so it's not too harsh.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
And I think that's going to do just fine. I'm not going to spend too much more time on EQing here, guys, because this really is going to depend on how exactly you want to sound. So this is just to kind of give you an idea as to how you can use this to kind of tune your voice, essentially. Now let's move on to the last plugin here. This last plugin actually doesn't come with ReaPlugs. It's one plugin that I recommend that you have to actually download. So this plugin that we're going to have to download, you want to go to google.com, and you want to search LoudMax 64. Basically, it's a plugin that's called a VST plugin that's called a limiter. And what a limiter does is it creates a hard limit for your audio, and your audio will not pass that point ever. So it's just a great thing to have on your stream. It's one thing that I definitely would recommend all streamers, especially those who are loud, or if you're the type that likes to get really excited when you're on stream. This is going to make it so that your audio doesn't clip. And if you don't know what clipping is, it's this staticky noise that you hear whenever volume gets super loud, and it's really unpleasant to the ears. This helps to combat that and keeps you from actually clipping on stream. So I definitely highly recommend that you guys invest into one of these. You don't have to get this specific one. However, this one's really simple in terms of how it functions, and it's really easy to obtain, and it'll work with just about anything. So as you see, I went to LoudMax 64, and there's depending on your operating system, if you're on PC, choose this link right here, VST version 1.25 for Windows PC 32 versus 64. Then you want to click this download button over here, connects it out of there, and it is downloaded. Now, what you want to do is you open the folder, double click it, and you'll see that it's in a zip file of some form. And you'll see LoudMax 64. If you're on 64-bit, go at 64. If you're on 32-bit, then you want to go at just LoudMax. Okay, so that's the difference between these two. So all you have to do here is move it into your VST plugins folder that you made earlier when you installed the ReaPlugs plugins. You just pop it right in there, and it will function with OBS as well. In this case, in ReaPlugs, we're just going to add one of those in. It's right over here, LoudMax 64. And all you have to do with this is you take this threshold slider on the top, and you bump it down to -0.1, -0.3, -0.1, whatever, somewhere around there, just enough so that the limiter will turn on and keep any audio from going past the 0 point. That's what you want. You could always just set it to 0, but I find that it's safer to set it to like -0.1 or -0.3. And this limiter is going to give us a lot more headroom to make our signal louder. And I'm going to show you how we can make the signal louder from what it is. We're going to go back to our EQ, and there's a gain slider on the right-hand side. You can use this gain slider to help boost the signal even further from there going into it. As you can see, the limiter by itself isn't going to do anything to make the signal louder.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
And you see, pretty much you heard that clicking noise just from turning it on and off, but it didn't do anything to contribute to the volume of the sound. So we're going to just go over to this gain slider. I'm going to just take a wild guess that we're going to boost it by like 10 decibels. Let's just go with that. And then we're going to see what that does. Let's listen to it back.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Not bad. And as you can see, if we brought this back down to 0.
How's it going, everyone? I'm John the Zaz of the Hobbyist PCs community, and welcome to this audio plugins tutorial.
Boom, we've got a louder signal. As a matter of fact, everything sounds really good now. So this was just a quick tutorial. As you can see, I did this in ReaPlugs so that you could get an idea as to one method you could employ to try and figure out what you want to set your settings to. Because once you've made all your settings here, just about every single setting that you've adjusted here can be copy-pasted right into those plugins in OBS. So they'll carry over just fine. If you're in OBS Studio or if you're in Streamlabs OBS, I'm going to show you guys how it is that you're going to want to add these plugins in. So what you're going to want to do is this is all meant for your microphone. You can employ some of these same tactics to your game audio if you really want to. I don't recommend it necessarily because it's not needed. So what I would actually recommend is that you focus mostly on your mic audio or in, getting your volume levels right. In OBS Studio, to the right-hand side of the mic, there is a gear icon. You want to click that gear icon and choose filters. As you can see, I already have a bunch of filters here, but if you wanted to add these particular plugins in question, all you have to do is you click the plus icon, then you add VST 2.x plugin. I'm just going to call it that for now. And you'll see this drop-down menu here. All of the plugins that you downloaded and installed will work right within OBS. And they're all listed right here. So if you don't see them, then it may be that you have OBS installed in a different location, and it might be reading it somewhere else, or you have Windows installed on a different drive. I suggested the C drive because that's where Windows is installed. So make sure you take that information and apply it to where your Windows device, where your Windows operating system is installed. And you can just basically add your plugins. Once you select your plugin, in this case, LabMax64, you click Open Plugin Interface, and then the very same plugin interface you've been working with you saw me working with in ReaPer will be here and usable for you. Now, as far as what you can do to try to test everything out, I'm going to go ahead and remove that plugin. And I should also mention, too, before I go, that if you want to move these plugins, you can click a plugin and you can use the arrow keys to change the order if you need to. Maybe if you put a plugin in backwards or in a particular spot you didn't want to. That's just something you can keep in mind. If you want to like not use a DAW like ReaPer, for example, you can always go into your settings here. You go to output and you will choose recording. Now from here, you can tell OBS where to save video files. I suggest that you set your recording format to MP4. Set your audio track to 1 because this is most likely the track you'll be using for your stream. And set your encoder settings to be the same as what you stream, essentially. Once you have all these parameters set, basically all you're going to be doing is recording locally to OBS and listening back to your audio and then making adjustments over and over again until you get the sound that you're looking for. Now that's the longest, that's going to take a long time, and that's why I would recommend using a DAW, because then you can just do everything there and it's a lot faster to set up. Then you can just copy paste all of your settings and then post it into whatever it is that you're doing, and it'll save you a lot of time. Now, of course, like I was saying, guys, that's all you really need to know about these plugins, but there's no guarantee that what I'm showing you here is going to get you the same results as what you're hearing now. So you have to keep in mind the quality of your microphone. You have to keep in mind the sound of your voice. You also have to keep in mind the sound of your room, because all that stuff is going to influence what goes into your microphone and what sounds it's producing. So you can't, I guess the term that people like to use is you can't polish a turd. So if it sounds bad, don't expect to make it sound better through trickery. You're just going to make something sound bad sound tolerable. So if that's what you're aiming for, this might help you. However, the whole reason why people say to go out and buy a good mic is because they sound good going in, and therefore they're a lot easier to tune. And that's all you really need to know about using VST plugins with OBS. And that should just about wrap everything up. Of course, it's a little bit of a long process if you're simply using OBS recordings to try to make certain adjustments. For example, with your EQ, that can take some time, but I can guarantee you with enough patience, and if you just simply chip away at it over time, you're going to make enough gradual changes to your audio till you get to the point where you're totally happy with it. I promise you that. Hopefully this tutorial was helpful for you guys. If it was, please be sure to like, share, and comment down below if you have any further questions, or perhaps you want to share some of your experiences that you've had trying to get your audio to sound decent, maybe some of the tricks that you employed. And of course, if you guys want to go check out the Hobbyist PCs community Discord, please be sure to check the description down below, and there will be a link for it there, as well as links to my other various social media pages, including my Twitch page. I stream every week, and I love to talk to you guys live while I'm there, and you guys get to interact with me and ask me tech questions, or just talk about tech news. That's the kind of stuff I love to do when I'm live on Twitch, so I'd be happy to have you guys there. Now, thank you very much for joining me, guys. I hope this video was extremely helpful, and I hope you guys have a pleasant day. Thank you for watching.